So again, welcome everyone. Good evening, and we will start with watching the breath mindfully for a few moments to bring our mind in the moment and present. Then we can try to have good intention, motivation for being here. We can think, for example, by us coming together here, giving our precious time to listen and to engage in discussion, reflection, contemplation. May all of these become cause and conditions to inspire us, to encourage us, to integrate practice the meditations in our everyday life. And through integrating those meditation in our everyday life, may it become cause and condition to transform our minds. To have less of those negative thoughts, feelings, emotions, and to increase and improve those positive thoughts, feelings, emotions. And may it be cause and conditions to cultivate and actualize all the spiritual experiences or realizations. And it can cause condition to achieve our highest potential, the fully awakened state. So we can be not only help, the greatest help, not only just to too few individuals, but to each and every sentient beings. Okay. Sangye Chödang Zogi Zhonam La Changju Pado Dane Gyakche Dagi Chöche Gibe Suna Lola Penche Sangye Doba Sangye Chödang Zogi Zhonam Changju Pado Dagi Chöche Gibe Suna Lola Penche Sangye Chödang Zogi Zhonam Changju Dagi Chöche Gibe Suna Lola Penche Sangye Doba. So So today's topic, how to integrate different meditations in our daily lives. I think it's quite a broad subject for so many different practitioners. Because as a different practitioner, we all have slightly different practices. Not necessarily everyone follow same kind of practice, same traditions. Some might be mostly focused on Vajrayana practice. Some might be not following more Vajrayana, but more on Suttarayana, Prasnaparamita, Mahayana practice, and some might be more focused and emphasize on the foundations that you find in Pali traditions. So but anyway, we can try to see how we can discuss and fit it where that might work for everyone's. And I think that is one of the the practice is such a unique individuals. Sometimes it becomes a little bit more harder to kind of generalize same practice for everyone's. First of all, I think before we talk about integrating different meditations in our daily life, first probably we might need to kind of understand what are those different practice meditations, and I just wanted to just touch on that without going much details, first of all, they are, generally speaking, within the Suttarayana practices, majorly there are two kind of meditations, analytical meditations and placement meditation, single pointed meditations. Those are two, generally those are main two kind of different type of meditations. The placement or placement meditation or single pointed meditations, we don't try to use a lot of thoughts, we just try to focus on one object, try to keep all our focus, all our attention, all our mind on that particular object, whatever we choose that object, without any using the thoughts or other thoughts or concept, because if you use more concept, more thought, it becomes an obstacle in that meditation, in that practice. So trying to stop all the thoughts except for the mind that focus on that object, and whatever that object might be, external, internal objects. On the other hand, analytical meditations is a very different kind of meditations. There in analytical meditation, as the term analytical, as it says. You are using a lot of thoughts, reasoning and logics, and contemplating, and when you contemplate, you use, to reflect, and to reflect, we use the, different feelings, different thoughts, by relying on different reasoning, different logic. So that is analytical meditations, so that is one of the, and many of the practice or meditation that you find in the Mahayanas path, and especially, lumbering meditation, and there are most of them are analytical meditation, contemplative or analytical meditations, so there is, so that is, whether we talk about loving kindness, meditation, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, those are contemplative meditations. You contemplate, you try to think and try to feel, think and feel the pain and sufferings of others, so that through that kind of, thinking, or that kind of reflecting or contemplating, and then that leads you understanding of that person's or another individual's pain, and that lead you to feel their pain, that lead you to feel your compassion towards them. And once you feel that compassion, then you try to hold on that compassion, and that's the same with the loving kindness meditation, bodhicitta meditation, all of them. So here is an use, thinking of someone's pain, reflecting or contemplating or thinking of someone's pain, so that we have better understanding of their pain, so that through better understanding that we can feel their pain, and that feeling of their pain, their others' pain, help us to develop the compassions and love, and also bodhicittas, so that kind of contemplative analytical meditation. And then when you talk about, meditation on impermanent nature of the objects, the samsaric nature of the objects, selfless nature of the objects, these all are very analytical meditation. We try to, contemplate why is not permanent, why is impermanent, by analyzing, by examining, the nature, and through that examinations that we begin to have understanding how those objects, phenomena, do not remain same for a moment by moment. They are constantly changing. Through that kind of, analyzing, examinations, then you begin to understand better, more profound nature of that, impermanent nature of that phenomenon. And that is same with selflessness, required a lot of examination, a lot of analyze, and those when we use analysis, examination, then we do those examination and analyze with a thought, with certain thoughts, by using different reasoning and logic and so forth, and so that is the analytical meditation. So you can see there are mainly two kinds of those meditations, that you find in Thubten. And then, in Vajrayana meditations, then there are, visualizations, that you use visualizations, using the visualizations on top of some of the meditation, the placement meditation, analytical meditations. There's also other form of meditation that we use, visualizations. And we also use sound, such as the mantras, not only visualization, but also we use the sound, the mantras as an object of meditations. And then, so again, there's certain meditations, another type of meditation we might say, So basically, those are some of the main kind of meditations, And the mindfulness meditation is kind of, is part of the meditation on placement meditation. Is part of it is within the meditation on placement or single point concentration meditation, the mindfulness meditation. So those are some of the main meditations, Okay, so after having kind of touched on some of the different meditations, now how can we integrate them in our everyday life? Maybe we can kind of talk a little bit on that. And if possible, if we can integrate all those three meditations, then that would be great. We can integrate all those different techniques or practice meditation in our practice in our everyday life. That would be very beneficial, helpful. Sometimes one method might not be so effective to you in certain time, in certain point, but the different method might be very helpful to you in that particular time, or in particular that as well. So sometimes our mind is too busy, and sometimes our mind is too crazy, and you try to do contemplative or analytical meditation, and you cannot calm your mind because your mind is too active, too busy. So then trying to quiet the mind can be helpful. But sometimes our mind be quiet, and you are kind of being, mindful, watchful, attentive, concentrated in whatever objects, But in terms of cultivating love, compassion, wisdom, maybe we don't any kind of change in that. You are very good at being very mindful. You are very good at not having any much thought, and being good at being calm, peaceful. But in terms of cultivating and developing your sense of love, compassion, bodhicitta, you are not making much progress there. And if you are not making progress, then then it doesn't serve so much greater purpose. You cannot achieve highest, and saying with wisdom, in order to have the wisdom, again, we need to have certain analysis, examinations, and again, and so therefore, that is why I say it is so individual, because certain individual, they might need to focus more on the placement meditations because of nature of their mind, or because of their state of practice or their level of practice or what they have been practicing and so on. For certain individual, maybe they might need to focus more on contemplative meditation, such as loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, because maybe they might be good at other meditation, but maybe they might be lacking in cultivating the love, compassions, and bodhicitta mind, and maybe that might be the way they need to focus more on and integrate more of that practice, that meditation more. For certain individuals, it's easy for them to feel love and compassions and even bodhicitta, but maybe they might have more difficulty with the wisdom, and maybe in order to improve that part, they need to do the more kind of analytical meditation of, so again, and also not only individually, even one person's, maybe we might need to focus on different aspects of the practice, meditation at a certain period in our life, in certain times, so that was what I was saying at the very beginning, that it's much more harder to give same kind of things to everyone, just like the doctor has to treat the patients individually, knowing individual persons' body and everything. Sometimes that is also same with the meditations and I think that is where the role of the teacher gurus comes, guru disciple, because in that cases, then individually the disciple student can share their experience, their practices on the basis of that individual practices, based on individual experiences, based on individual what they are in that state, then they can be kind of guided accordingly where they need to improve, where they need to focus on, or where they need to shift, or whatever that needed, So, but of course, we can kind of definitely discuss in generally how those can be integrated, So, as His Holiness the Lamas always says, and in all this practice, it is described, in our everyday life, the first thing in the morning when we wake up, trying to generate a good intention, motivation for the day. Generating good intention, motivations for the life, especially for the year, month, week, and particularly for that 24 hours, and possible, if we can generate a bodhicitta motivations, that would be great. Generating motivation to spend, rest of your life, if possible, until you achieve enlightenment. Rest of life, especially this year, this month, this week, particularly this 24 hour, I will try to be, I will try to work on to be help and benefit to sentient beings, and not to hurt and harm to sentient beings, and as much as I can through body, speech, and mind, being mindful of our minds so that we don't engage in any harmful, hurtful action through any of three doors, and trying to use our three doors all the time to be as much as help and benefit to all sentient beings, And so making that strong commitment, strong motivation, and for that purpose, that I need to be more enlightened, the more enlightened I am, the more I'm able to help others, the more I'm able to help myself. You know. And for that purpose, you know, the wish to achieve our most perfect and most enlightened and most awakening state, to achieve that. And in order to achieve that, then you know, I'm going to do practice, you know, whatever meditations that throughout the day, you know, throughout until enlightenment, especially during this life, this year, this month, this week, and particularly this 24 hours, you know. And whatever activities I engage into throughout the day, you know, from morning to go to the sleep, you know, may all all of them become cause and conditions for that purpose, to cause and conditions for the path, cause and conditions to turn from our mind to the path, cause and conditions to be benefit to others, cause and conditions to enlightenment. So generating that motivations, you know. So that is kind of more kind of contemplative meditations, okay, generating that bodhicitta motivations. And if we can start that every day, then, you know, every day, everything you do afterwards become beneficial and helpful, a cause of become virtuous and cause of enlightenment by the power of that strong motivation and intention that you generated. You know, going to bathroom, you know, washing, you know, taking showers, you know, cooking, cleanings, you know, and going to the walk, you know, and whatever you do throughout the day, then they all can become more virtuous and more cause of enlightenment through the power of, and so that trying to generate that motivation, and that is kind of contemplative meditations, we can say. And you can spend half hour if you wish on that motivation, bodhicitta motivation practice. You can spend 10 minutes, you can spend 5 minutes, you can spend 2-3 minutes, you know, how extensive you want to do that meditations. And again, you know, so, you know, so you try to do that, and then of course you do whatever you need, you know, like for example, you know, when we go to the bathroom, you know, when we kind of clear our bodies, our urine and all the garbage, you know, you can think, you know, cleansing and purifying all the negativities, you know. And as you flush it, you can think you are flushing all your, you know, flushing all your negative karma, all the delusions, you know, all the obscurations. Especially, you know, if we are going through certain, whatever strong negative emotion we might be going through, you know, in our life. Sometimes we might be going through a lot of fear, anxiety, worry, frustrations, impatience, bitterness, anger, you know. So whatever that is bothering us, whatever strong emotions that might be bothering us, we can especially think that particular negative emotion, that particular negative feelings, thoughts that is bothering us has been completely flushed out. You know, we can think that the water that is being flushed, think as the wisdom, and that wisdom is flushing all these negative energy, all this negative feed, all this. So by doing that, while you are in the restroom for how many even minutes it takes you, 2-3 minutes to 5-10 minutes, you integrate the practice, meditations, and transform that act is something spiritual, something Dharma practice, something virtuous benefit, and sometimes it is helpful. You could have a small kind of, you write something, to remind you there, by the toilet when you go there, then it reminds you to think that way, because sometimes we might not remember all the times, we forget. So you can write there in your own way to remind you. And so when every time you go there, there's something reminder, and then you try to do that practice, that meditations, so then your time, how many ever minutes you take in toilet is not wasted and become just a ordinary, but actually you have been able to transform into something spiritual, something meditation and practice by doing that, And sometimes maybe if you really do practice well in that, maybe that might be for certain families in certain condition, maybe that might be the best place for your meditations. No one bothering you, If you try to meditate on the cushion, maybe your children might be running, or your animal might be running, or your wife or husband might be saying, oh, can you do this, or bothering you. But maybe in bathroom, maybe probably nobody will bother you. And maybe that could be this, maybe most conducive, maybe, environment for meditations and practice if you want to do, So anyway, to have something to remind you, there can be helpful, And same thing, when we wash our face, when we brush, when we wash our hands, when we take a shower, again, same things, we imagine, visualize, wisdom light, wisdom nectars flowing from the deities or from the Buddhas, and then, cleansing, purifying of all our, negativities, all our, whatever illness, whatever negative karma, delusion, obscuration, being, cleanse, purify, completely. And, if you find it helpful, then you can even do, recitation or such as Vajrasattva purification mantras while you do the showers, and while you take the showers, while you recite that mantra or any particular mantras that you feel more connected, or that while you do that visualization and that, while you do that, and then you can do that, and not only cleansing and purifying your negative karma, your own illness, negative karma, delusion, obscuration, but also cleansing and purifying all sentient beings, illness, negative karma, delusions, obscuration. So we can try to also do that, So, and these are something that we do every day. And if we can remind ourselves and if we can use that for that, I think by the time you finish your shower, you have already done 2-3 meditations. You have already done 2-3 sessions of meditation, short meditations. And then, I don't know, maybe most people, maybe after that, then maybe, I guess maybe some people, maybe they have coffee or something first before they do shower and washing. Some people, maybe they did that first, and maybe after that, maybe they might have coffee or something, whatever, something to drink. Doesn't matter which comes first and all, but as long as you do that practice while you do that. And then whenever you drink, eat, so I give here, but of course you can use that every time we drink, every time we eat, throughout the day, whether you are eating 1 meal, 2 meals, 3 meals, whether you are drinking coffee, teas, drinks, whatever other drinks, 1 time a day, 3 times, 4 times, 5 times, whatever. Each time when we eat and we drink, we try to remember the 3 jewels, the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, because we have taken a refuge, and so then remembering them, Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, recollecting their incredible positive qualities in whatever you can, remembering their kindness, that has made difference in our life because of the Dharma practice and meditations, and so that, and then we try to offer mentally, and if you can use word, that is great, but even if you cannot use any kind of verbally kind of reciting, offering prayers, mentally offer it, mentally offer it first to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha. And when you offer the offering, whether it's the drink, whether it's the food, the meals, when you try to offer it by recollecting their qualities and incredible positive qualities and their kindness, also we see that the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha are no different from all other deities or the Buddhas. They and inseparable from our gurus. So by seeing that, then we make offering to the Buddha, Dhamma, Sangha, the gurus, or the Buddhas. By seeing they all are all same in essence, they all are same, one, in a different form, different aspect. So through that, then we make offering to the 3 jewels, all the Buddhas and our gurus, from whom we receive all the inspirations, from whom we receive all the instructions and teachings. So we try to do that, and through that, trying to feel more connected with the gurus, by remembering their, qualities, their kindness, trying to feel more connected with them, and that feeling more connected with the guru is the Guru Yoga. That is the Guru Yoga. The Guru Yoga is by reflecting, contemplating their incredible, their positive qualities and the kindness, directly, indirectly, and through that, by remembering, that reflecting, contemplating, we feel more closer to them, and that feeling of close to them is the Guru Yoga. And so through that meditation, then we do, in a short, of course, you can do extensive, but just by doing that little bit, it could take you less than 5 minutes or 10 minutes, how, depending on how much. And then by that, you have already done a little bit meditation on refuge and Guru Yoga and refuge, both, in that. And again, because we do that every day, we drink, eat. So if you can integrate that, so then in that sense, then now you are integrating the meditation on refuge, integrating meditation on Guru Yoga, when you do that, the whole purpose of Guru Yoga, whatever different method we use, visualizing, recollecting, remembering, and analytical meditations, at the end is to feel more closer with them. That is the Guru Yoga, feeling the closeness. And so we can try to bring that in that, and so and throughout the day, of course, maybe we might be cleaning, maybe not every day, but we do kind of vacuum clean time to time. And when you do cleaning and vacuuming, again, you can think and visualize, cleansing and purifying all the delusions, all the obscuration, all the negative karma, and again, you can recite certain prayers, mantras, or even if you don't recite it, you can just think that you are cleansing and vacuuming all this negative. And especially, again, as I mentioned, whatever particular negative thoughts, feeling, emotion that's bothering us, you can especially emphasize that being kind of, vacuum or cleanse, get rid of, and then, maybe we have a formal, proper practice meditation on cushions. And I think it is important to develop certain sitting meditations, in our life. It doesn't have to be long if you cannot find the time because of your busy schedules. Because for certain peoples, they have full-time job, they have children's, and so you might not be, and so but at least, you should try to find at least 10 to 20 minutes every day to be on the cushions. If you can find more than that, that is wonderful. And not only we try to find, one important is to have certain discipline, that you have that continuity all the time, regardless wherever you are, regardless whatever you are doing, trying to find that kind of discipline, if you have to wake up early than normal, you try to wake up 20 minutes early than that. That's all. Normally you wake up 6, 7, 8, and for job, maybe sometime you might need to wake up in the middle of, like 4 in the morning, 5 in the morning, because you need to go to airport early or something. You need to then. You just have to sacrifice 20 minutes extra. That is just 20 minutes. You get up 20 minutes early, then you are supposed to get up. And trying to have that discipline is important, Otherwise, oh, I do need to do, and then you skip that day, and then again you skip one day, and then that becomes an excuse for us, And then we always find another excuse every day. Every day there is some excuse. But once you develop that discipline, then no matter what, you will not find any excuse not to sit those 24 minutes, So I think that is very, very important to find that discipline, and you should be able to, if you put effort at the very beginning, like everything's, it will require effort, but after some time, then it can become just kind of like schedule, just a normal routine. You don't find any difficulties in that. For example, you find in our life many examples. When I grew up, of course, in the village, we never brush, okay? Then later I came to the Kathmandu, and I went to the monastery, and then that's where we learned to brush, even though we didn't like to brush, but at least we tried to brush a little bit. But we used to brush just only in the morning, one time, and very quickly, But many years ago, so when I went to see the dentist, then they told me, how often do you brush? I said once in the morning, and then the dentist said, you should brush twice, if not 3 times, in the evening and morning. At the very beginning, finding the time to brush in the evening was not easy, even it takes less than 5 minutes. Sometimes you forget, because I'm not used to that routine, that schedule, so sometimes I forget. After 2 days, I remember, I need to brush in the evening. I didn't brush yesterday. And then again, I brush a couple of days, and sometimes I forget. Finding that 5 minutes for brushing was a struggle. But after putting effort a little bit, and now it's just a routine. I don't have to struggle, I don't have to find an effort. No matter where I am, no matter where I go, how busy I am, I just feel like I need to brush it. It doesn't feel like I need to give extra time. Never feel I need to give extra time. Doesn't feel like I need full effort. It just fit into your routine and schedules, because now you have been used to that. And doesn't matter, busy sometimes, maybe even I'm very late due to certain things, and still you brush it. And no excuse, because now I'm already late than normal my bedtimes, And same thing in the morning, And this is a very simple example that I'm giving, and there are a lot of things in our life, and that's how it has transformed in our life. At the very beginning, finding even 5 minutes was struggle. It required effort. But after some time, it's effortless. And doesn't feel like you are giving extra time. It just kind of fit in your routine, normal. And same can be the meditation, 20 minutes. Of course, I'm not saying you shouldn't do more than 20 minutes, Okay. If possible, you should do 1 hour, 2 hours, 3 hours. Great, but I'm just keeping a very minimum kind of time, 15, 20 minutes regularly. And that should be kind of a regular So once you create that discipline, then that just fit in your routine, and then it doesn't take you extra time than your normal schedules, whatever your schedule for the day. It doesn't feel like that. It will not become like that, and it requires less effort. Of course, there are times when your meditation is better. Some days there are times when your meditation is not so good, because just like our physical body, some days you feel good, sometimes you don't feel good. You just wake up and you don't feel good. And someday you wake up, you feel great. That is the same with our mind. Someday you wake up and you feel very joyful, happy. Someday you wake up and you feel very kind of grumpy and not so great. And same with our meditations, for the beginners, at the very beginner, some days our meditations, we can focus well, we can feel it good. And then some days, you are just being there. You cannot focus. Your mind is all over the world. If you are trying to feel something, you are unable to feel it. It's just kind of going through that kind of just kind of. I cannot come up the right words. It's just kind of what was the word? You're just repeating it, but it's nothing. But that's okay. That's okay. That is part of practice. That is part of practice. That is part of meditations. That is part of our spiritual practice. You cannot expect every day to become great meditation and practice. If you started to have that kind of expectation, then you are going to be disappointed. And you are going to be disappointed, and you are not going to enjoy your practice. So without expectations, just being able to find the time and even just to sit and making the effort to sit, that itself is a big progress. That itself requires a lot of discipline, and you are having that discipline. Do you get it? Your mind will be wandering here and there, but at least you have this discipline to sit there for 20 minutes, which is not easy. So we should rejoice. We should rejoice instead of beating up yourself. Because I couldn't concentrate so well, because my meditation wasn't so great today, or this week, or this month, or whatever. So that discipline is very, very important, I think, to come to that. And then then once you are in cushions, then you do whatever practice. As I mentioned, different people might have different practices. Again, with practice, you can, like any practice you do, whatever practice you do, whether you are trying to do mindfulness practice, whether you are trying to do, lumbering practices, whether you are trying to do Vajrayana practices, whatever practice. And even with the Vajrayana practice, there are different forms of practice. Even in lumbering, there are different parts of practice. Whatever meditation practice you are doing, always try to have the bodhicitta motivations. Always start with that. And again, that motivation can be extensive, short, and very short, depending on your time and all of that. And then try to do refuge and bodhicitta, quickly. If you have time, you can do more, but at least, if you don't have time, and then, you can do the, if possible, 7 limb practice. there are extensive 7-limb practices, short 7-limb practices with one words with each of 7 lines, 1 line with each of those 7-limb practices. Even you cannot do that, then there is only 4 lines, that you find at the very end of the, the 7-limb practice in the King of Prayer, the dedication, Chasavada Churishapa. So it just it go through all the 7-limb practice. So at least we can do that. You can do that, at least that, because purification and accumulation of merit is important for the success of whatever practice meditation we are trying to do. So at least we can, even we cannot spend so much time on 7-limb practice, you can try to do that. So and that wouldn't take so much time. And then whatever main body of the meditation that you want to do, you try to do that meditations. And whatever meditation you are trying to do, whether you are trying to focus on kind of mindful or placement meditation, or whether you want to focus on analytical or contemplative meditations, on whatever particular subject that you want to meditate, the important you try to combine those both meditation, analytical or contemplative meditations, together with the placement meditations. And you can do that, when you do that, then, of course, we try to begin, watching the mind breathfully for some time, You don't want to spend so much time, but you can, of course, unless you are trying to do the main focus is kind of mindful meditations or placement meditation, then of course that become the main of your meditation. But otherwise, if you are trying to more focus on a contemplative, analytical meditation, Lamrim meditation, then at the very beginning, we try to kind of quiet our mind and bring our mind in the moment presence with the 9-round meditations, watching the breath 9 rounds mindfully. And once your mind is in the moment present, quiet, calm, then you try to generate the bodhicitta mind, motivations, and then you do the refuge bodhicitta, the 7-limb practice, short. And then you try to focus whatever meditation, whether you are meditating on loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, emptiness, whatever different Lamrim topic, Guru devotions, whatever, you can try. And first you do the analytical meditation on that particular subjects, contemplative analytical meditations by reasoning, using different reasoning logics or contemplative, and trying to generate the feelings, okay? Whatever feeling you are trying to, whether it's a loving kindness, whether it's the compassion, whether it's the bodhicitta mind, whether it's the feeling of the faith in terms of refuge, whether it's in terms of the Guru devotion, is the devotion. So there's, is all this meditation, different meditation we do is to lead to certain feelings, certain positive feelings, okay? Certain positive feelings. And once you have that feelings from that contemplation, that analytical meditations, whether it's loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, whether it's the feeling of certainty of emptiness, or the certainty or convictions of impermanent nature, convictions or certainty of the nature of samsara, or nature of sufferings, or nature of emptiness through different meditations, you come to that convictions, that feeling or convictions, the feeling of that certainty. And once whatever those, so all those different meditations lead to certain feelings. And once you have that feeling, then you don't use any kind of analysis, contemplation, but you just try to hold that feeling, just single pointly, trying to keep that feeling and then trying to keep your awareness, your attentions on that feeling, just experiencing that feeling and keeping your mind on that. No more contemplation, no more analysis, no more examinations. And you just try to hold the feeling, experience the feelings, and just keep your focus, attentions, your awareness on that feeling. As long as you can, for 2 minutes, 3 minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes. So when you do that, then you have combined the analytical meditation and placement meditations. And we can combine those meditations, both of them, in all of those different meditations. Okay? And so we can try to do that, and then and then at the end you try to do it. Try to end the practice with a dedications. You can do a long dedication, medium dedication, short dedication. You can do a very short dedication when you don't have time. So then, at least with that, then you can try to end the 20 minutes, half hour, 45 minutes, 1 hour, whatever meditations long you do, trying to complete or conclude or end with the dedications. And of course, when you have time, we can do a lot of dedication. When you don't have time, you can dedicate, towards enlightenment. You can dedicate for the well-being or happiness of all sentient beings. You can dedicate for the Dharma, or for the long life of gurus. You can do all those dedication, or you can choose one of those dedications when you don't have time. And if you can recite the prayer, that dedication prayer, that is wonderful. But even you cannot recite it, you just try to, from your heart, just try to dedicate it. So that is, so it is good to start the morning with the meditation or the cushion practice, and then that can have a strong impact throughout your day, because you have meditated, because you did this morning meditations, so it is kind of fresh and it is kind of alive. So then during the daytime, when you are something's happening, you have access to that meditation quickly. It's something fresh. It's not kind of something old that is out of your memory, And so when you remember that practice, that meditation you did that morning, and then that can be very helpful throughout the day, when you are going due to different conditions, due to different events, due to different circumstances, when our mind might be disturbed, when our mind might be disturbed, maybe our mind might start to become more frustrated, agitated, or bitter, or anger, or whatever those, because of your meditation this morning, it's still quite fresh in your mind and it's quite fresh in your memory. So it's easy to remember that. And then when you remember that, you can apply that. And then when you are able to apply that immediately, when some certain thoughts, emotion, feeling arises due to something, then it becomes helpful to you. You have the tools on the practice, the tool on you to apply that. Because a lot of time we don't remember that moment, we forget and we don't remember that moment to apply whatever meditation practice we need to apply in that circumstances, situations, But when you have been meditating, then it is much more awake or fresh and in your memory, and so that helps throughout the day. And then throughout the day, whatever you are doing, whenever possible, you can try to contemplate, you can try to contemplate on either, emptiness, depending arisings, or, you can try to contemplate, meditate on, loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, So throughout the day, you try to, whatever you do, whether you are cooking, whether you are eating, whether you are taking nap, rest, whether you are walking, whether you are driving, whether you are hiking, walking, exercising, whatever form of exercise, always try to bring those contemplative meditations in that. You can do those contemplative meditation in everywhere, all the time. You can do that while you are gardening, watering. You can do that while you are hiking, walking. You can do that while you are in your office, whatever work you are doing. So trying to bring that and it can be more helpful, because as much as we want to integrate those meditation throughout the day, all in every activities, at the very beginning, it might be feeling like overwhelming, too much to do, isn't it? And sometimes your mind also might get too tired of doing that throughout the day. But you start with one activities in your day and make that every day until it becomes, as I mentioned before, routine. The moment you go in the toilet, you started to think that way, meditate that way, because you're having so familiar, and now it's kind of almost like automatic. The moment is just like, for a dog, when you give a treat, when you put something like that, automatically they just started to sit that, because they're expecting a treat. Automatic, you don't have to say anything. When you open your treat or something, or sudden gesture or something, or if you are taking for a walk, when you started to take the leash, or when you started to wear your shoes, automatically kind of. Similarly, the moment you go in the toilet, restroom, without any effort, you just started to think that way. When you started to become that, then you don't need, it doesn't require effort, and it is not tiring. And we started to develop with one activities, okay, that we do every day, and you work on that, and with the time, then slowly the moment you do that, you just go into that state. And then you add another practice, another activities, and another activities. And through that, then you can act slowly to all the activities that we do throughout the day. And then by that time, because a lot of those things almost become like automatic, because you have done familiarity and that kind of that. So then it doesn't require effort, and it doesn't become tiring, While you are doing the practice meditation throughout the day, with applying, integrating all different activities, but you don't feel overwhelmed and tired and energy draining, And then that is how you try to do throughout the day, I try to integrate as much as possible when I, because I walk, I like to walk and try to integrate some of those practices. And when I started walking, it comes naturally, but it might not come when I'm doing other activities. I have to put more conscious effort if I want to integrate in other activities. But with walking, because I've been trying to integrate for a long time, so it's more easier for me to integrate that, and so for example so you can integrate that once it becomes more easy to one particular activity that you do often and every day, then you can slowly integrate that with another activities, and that will be one of the things. And so while we're eating, drinking, everything, or when we're wearing our clothes and everything, we can always integrate the dependent arising, loving kindness, compassion, all the time, also well, that too, so again, and then evenings, it would be good to reflect throughout the day, in the morning, we started a good intention, motivations, trying to generate a good intention, motivation to be helpful and beneficial as much as possible to others, and not to hurt and harm others, and to practice as much as possible. And throughout the day, then before we go to bed, not naturally just before the bed, but in the evening, you try to reflect, how did the day go? How did my day go today? Did I lose my mind? Did I did something that was hurtful and harmful? Did I did something that was helpful and beneficial? Did I have some positive thoughts, such as sense of concern, love, compassion towards someone? Did any thought arises? Have I been helpful for someone, physically, verbally, or mentally? So reflecting on our practice and studies and all of that, and then if we see, that we have engaged in something that was not virtuous but non-virtuous, something that was harmful or hurtful, then we try to do the purifications. We try to do the purification practice. And if we notice any that we have had something positive, we have engaged some virtues today, some virtuous thoughts, or through body, speech, and 3 doors, any of 3 doors, something virtuous, something positive, something helpful, beneficial, we rejoice that. We rejoice for all the positive, good things that we do. We try to rejoice it. We try to make a strong intentions to work on them, continue to have those kind of positive thoughts, to engage in more virtues in the futures, rejoice and make that. And then if we notice that we have been engaged in something non-virtuous and something harmful and hurtful, then we try to do the purifications. Even we don't remember doing any of that today, but maybe we might have done something in this week, or something in this month, or maybe something in this life, maybe something we don't remember from the past, but we have done. And because that, then we will try to do the purifications, and there are many different forms of purifications, and you try to do purification, whatever you feel, every certain people feel more connected with certain particular purification. Of course, versatile purification is very, very powerful. If you can do versatile purification, that's wonderful. You can do extensive, you can do kind of medium, and you can do very short, And if you can do 100 syllable mantras, that is great. If you cannot do 100 syllable, you can do the short version of Vasatava, and with that, with the short mantras, you can do the purifications as them, and if you don't feel connected with that particular practice of Vasadavas, or you find it difficult, or you have resistance to that, and then you can do other purifications, there are 35 Buddha purifications, you can do, recitation of certain sutras that you feel connected for purifications, you can do other virtues, you can meditate on the emptiness of the negative karma, the object with whom we create the negative karma, and you yourself who is created negative karma, the act of creating. So we can meditate on emptiness as a way of purifications, so different. So again, when we talk of purification, it's not like that if you don't feel connected, and if you don't feel, if you feel resistant to one particular practice, doesn't mean that that is the only way you have to, whether you feel resistant or you have to do that. There are many different purification practice, and which you can do. So when we do it wholeheartedly, and if we do it wholeheartedly, then the practice become more powerful, that meditation become more powerful, and so of course, I don't think I need to go in the kind of detail of the practice itself, and then purification, and then you end the day with a little bit more extensive dedications, so for the day, and then so I think maybe that is all today. I think instead of me talking so much, so maybe I can open a few minutes for any questions you have. So please, either you can raise your hand and unmute yourself, or you can send in the chat. So
I have a question about the 7 limbs at the end of the King of Prayers. I couldn't.
Not end of the King of Prayers, but the end of the very beginning of the King of the Prayer, where they have the 7 limb practice, the dedications, the dedication verse.
Okay.
Which says, "Chazawa Chujin Shapada." Jesuirabu Jawa Chungse Dagi, Tamje Dagi Chanju Chenbo, like through frustration, making offering confessions, Chazawa Chujin Shawa, Jesuirabu, so on. And through the rejoicing, entreating, and whatever virtues I've created, I dedicate for the enlightenment. So in that verse, it mentioned all the 7 limb practices. And so that sometimes His Holiness, when he leads sometime different ceremonies, or whether it's, giving both of vows or refuge, or sometimes empowerments, when there is a require of 7 limb practice as a preliminary practice, sometime when there's no enough time, then he will just do that one. And he also have mentioned that when you don't have time and tight, and when you need to, if you do that verses, that is also okay. So that is only 4 lines. So yeah, so that part, yeah. Okay.
Does anyone else have any questions? we have a few of the students from the Discovering Buddhism program in here, and I'll write out the 7-limb prayer and send it to you so you have a copy of it.
Okay.
So I'll ask one more. You should-
Yes, yes.
Walking, when you're walking, what kind of meditation is that? Is that, you know, not in our tradition, there's a walking meditation. I have no idea what it really entails. Is that's not what you're talking about, like when you like to walk?
Well, you know, in like every activities, you can integrate any practice, any meditations. Generally, I think in Pali traditions, the walking meditation, the mindfulness meditations, the focus and mindfulness, you know, when you walk mindfulness. I think there are like 7 different stages of walking and being aware of each movement of those 7 different stages, you know, how you lift your feet and how you move and how you stay. Just so there is like 7 different movement or steps of that, and slowly being each movement, each step, you are being aware of that, you know. Just basically that is what basically trying to bring the mindfulness while you are walking, you know. And I think it is helpful when you have been sitting for a long time. So also in order to move your body, so you bring that. So that mindfulness meditations is of course common practice to all the traditions, you know. That is the foundational kind of meditations that's required for everyone as well. But in our tradition, in the Mahayana traditions, sometimes the focus might be more on bodhicitta and emptiness. And so if it's on more focus on that, then you can meditate on either of them, both of them, you know, while you are walking, you know, you know, you can meditate on emptiness, you know. You can meditate on emptiness, the self who is walking, you know. Who is that self, you know? Is there an inherent existing self or not, you know? So you try to analyze while you are walking, you know, and so you can try to analyze and you can try to apply that walking meditations, you know. You can apply for the self. Sometimes you can do that, the act of walking itself. What is the walking, you know? What is the walking, you know, that the act of walking, you know, is there inherent existing walking, you know. And so again, you can apply that to walking itself. You can apply that same meditations on the path, the walking path or whatever road you are walking on. What's the path? What is the you know, what's the road that you are walking on, you know? Is there inherently existing? And then again, analyzing that, or sometimes you can you know, meditate on. So you can focus on emptiness, or you can focus on both bodhicitta, loving kindness, compassion, or you can do both, you know. Sometimes you focus on loving kindness, compassion, you know. Then again, you can, while you are walking, you know, you can think, you know, we are able to walk, you know, because there is a path to walk, and so many people have put so much effort to make the walking path for us, you know, directly, indirectly, so many people feeling the kindness of them so that we are able to walk, you know. And in order to walk, you know, we need the shoes, you know. And again, you know, so many people's sentient beings have made that shoes for us to be able to walk, wear it and protect ourselves and walk, to be able to walk, take this walk, you know. So so not only the shoes, you know, if it's too cold, when it's cold, we have the warm cloth to protect us. and when it is too hot, there's something to protect us from the suns, the hat or whatever, sun lotions or whatever, all of that we're able to walk by all of this, whether in the snow, whether it's in the sun, whatever, and all this is possible because of all those different gear and the path and all this. We didn't create any of them ourselves. I didn't make the shoes myself. I didn't make the path that I'm walking. When it's sun, I have the hat to protect myself. I didn't create the hat myself, the code, everything. And it's through the kindness and the contributions of others that I'm able to enjoy and experience that. And so remembering the kindness of that, and by remembering the kindness of that, then you try to generate a sense of compassion, wanting to repay the kindness, sense of feeling that, they have been kind, directly, indirectly, and kind and compassion, and the sense of wanting to repay the kind and compassions. And in order to do that, not only to repay the kindness, but in order to repay the kindness in the most beneficial way, not just a temporary help, is to help them to free from their own delusions and karma and obscurations. And to do that, then the need to achieve full enlightenment and the wish to achieve enlightenment. So through that, then you can do, while you are walking, you can meditate on bodhicitta, and like it or not, sometimes there are times when I feel, while you are trying to meditate or contemplate on walkings, if it seems like more powerful than when you are sitting, because I don't know, sometimes it's just when you try to sit, sometimes it's hard to focus. There are days, when you are not so doing well, because whatever. And then when you start walking, maybe your mind starts to feel more kind of, more relaxed. And then your practice meditation seems to be better. So basically, so we can try to meditate on either emptiness, bodhicitta, both of them, when you have more time, you can do both. When you have less time, you can just try to focus on one of them. Or there are times when you want to emphasize on one particular more than others. Yeah. Okay. Any others? So if there is one, if there's caution, there is one. For one comment. Yes, Mary.
Thank you so much for the wonderful teaching. I must say how easy it is, the slippery slope of letting a day or two go, and then it becomes a week, and then you go, oh my gosh, it's been 2 weeks. I got really busy with work, especially during COVID, and it's really hard to get back in that routine once you get out of that, so it's been a challenge, but I'm working on it.
Great.
But it's a very slippery slope, though. It's like, oh, well, I'm okay today. And then you go, and it's like time just goes by so fast.
Yes. That is why I said that building the discipline, no matter how busy you are, you should try to find a way to do that. And even when you're so busy that you might not be able to focus well, but still you try to do the practice, even when it's not so well, so that you don't sleep then,
Mm-hmm.
And so that is very important. Yeah. Okay. So then we do the dedications. So due to all the virtues others and ourselves have created, may ourselves and all sentient beings be able to actualize and fully develop loving kindness, compassion, bodhicitta, mind, and wisdom, realizing emptiness as soon as possible. Those who have already actualized, not diminish, but increase more and more. Chanjo, Samjo, Rambo, Maya, Bang, Kyawa, Nyapa, Kong, Kondo, due to all the virtues we have created, may we be able to achieve fully enlightenment as soon as possible in order to liberate all sentient beings to that fully enlightened state. Gyawadi Nyudu, Lama Sangyadu, Doa Chikam, There Sala. We also dedicate all our virtues for the long life of His Wonderland, Lama Savaram, all the Gurus. Chanjo Kari Ravi, Guru Shingan, Pendan Deva, Malay, Jere Song, Tenka. Shabeside, but thank you. To the translation, the young bear, Choson element to the Tasso do check on the sharp tennis. Thank you very much, everyone. Thank you. Good evening. Have a wonderful evening.
Thank you, Geshe.
Thank you, Geshe.
Great
So
seeing
Thank you,
again.
Geshe.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you, Geshe.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you. Bye bye.
Great seeing you again.